Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Rebel Moon, directed by Zack Snyder, and just got released on Netflix recently. It is the first part of Zack Snyder's two films in this Rebel Moon franchise that he's created. With this film now released on December, he's gonna have part two on April next year, and it is about a girl that rounds up a group of people with skills and powers to take down this evil armada that threatens their entire galaxy. I do like Zack Snyder as a director. I think he's made some pretty enjoyable films. Like, I do like his Dawn of the Dead remake. I also like Army of the Dead and Watchmen, and of course, his cut of the Justice League. He's not one of my favorite directors. He's made some films that I'm not a huge fan of, but whenever he makes a new film, I'm always gonna be curious to see what else he cooks up for his filmography, because the trailers may look like a big cinematic movie that did get me interested and I wanted to watch it, but then the early reviews came out and that did get me a little concerned, but I still wanted to watch this film because you know what they say, don't judge a book by its cover. So the stuff I liked first, there are some pretty cool shots with the cinematography, whether you have characters fighting in action or when you have characters that are just standing with a big planet above them. It does have pretty cool imagery, and that's what I come to expect with a Zack Snyder film. And it's also one of the things I also like about his films. He has some really good visuals that do make it look very cool to watch. And if you are a fan of Zack Snyder, this film has everything you would see in a Zack Snyder film, like a bunch of slow motion in his action sequences, a dark color palette, a gritty look with the production design, and some pretty cool visuals. There is some good acting, some of the actors have some good charisma, and there's some cool costumes and makeup, and that's sadly where my positives end, because as of right now, until part 2 comes out, I found this film to be a very bland and uninteresting sci-fi movie with not a lot happening, because most of this film is just the main character trying to recruit a bunch of people into her team to go against the Armada, and that's most of the movie. Most of it is just her recruiting people, and that's just it. And when she does recruit these people, most of them are just quirks that don't show a lot about them or what their personalities are like. I mean, there are a couple that have some development, like without giving anything away, Charlie Hunnam plays a pilot that's sort of a Han Solo type of character where he helps fly the ship for him, and he has a little moment that happens in the third act, but that's about it. You don't really know everything else about him before that, and he mostly just cracks jokes and kind of gets a little snarky, and there's this one girl that can kill a giant monster with her lightsaber-like swords, and that's pretty much it about her. There's even a guy that they recruit that is supposed to handle animals. Like, there's this one scene where he tries to handle this big bird creature that for some reason looks like Buckbeak from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Even that entire scene feels like it's that whole scene from Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, he tries to be careful with the creature and he tries flying it around for the first time. Like, that scene really felt like it was just copying off of Harry Potter for some reason. Now again, some of the characters do have a little bit of development, and maybe part 2 could get into more of that, but it still really made the film drag, which also makes this feel more like a setup movie, and that's pretty much one of the main issues that people have with most of the Marvel films and most of the DC films. They try to be setup movies to set up for the next film, and we're kind of over that now. We don't really need that many setup movies. Now, if you're gonna recruit a bunch of people throughout the entire film, at least have them get to know each other. Like, make them be more fun and enjoyable characters for the audience to see. Don't constantly have the main character go, alright, you're this person, alright, welcome to the team. Like, at least try to do some more with these characters for this film. There are also some green screen shots that did kind of bug me. There are times when you see a character walk around in a big green screen area, you can really tell that it's just green screen, and it's very noticeable. Even though this film does have some pretty cool action sequences, there are times where it feels like it's trying to hide some of the violence. Like, there are some characters that get stabbed and shot, and beaten up, and you barely see any blood for some reason. There's some that happens, but there are some big characters that you're supposed to care about, and when some of them get killed, no spoilers for who they are, you don't really see any blood. And I think one of the big issues I have with this movie is that it doesn't feel like it's an original movie. It just feels like it's copying off of other big sci-fi movies that we've seen 1,000 times. I mean, I shouldn't really consider it an issue because Zack Snyder originally wanted this to be a Star Wars movie. He pitched the idea to Lucasfilm and Disney, but they didn't like that, and that made Zack Snyder decide to continue doing that story, but without Lucasfilm's help, and he decided to have Netflix help him with that. But it still doesn't change that it feels like it's trying to copy Star Wars. Like, there's a scene where the main characters are entering a bar where they meet the pilot, and they run into a bunch of aliens in this bar. There's even a part in this bar scene where an alien assaults the main characters, just like there were in A New Hope. Like, it really feels like it's trying to be like Star Wars. There were also times where it felt like it was copying Rogue One, which, again, no spoilers, but there's an arc between one of the main characters and the main villain of the film that feels very similar to the main hero and the main villain from Rogue One. I found Rebel Moon, A Child of Fire to be a very mediocre sci-fi film with some good moments, but for the most part, it barely lacks any intensity or blood in the action sequences, way too much setup and recruiting characters, and a story that just feels like it's already been done so many times in other sci-fi movies. Now, if you're a fan of Zack Snyder and you love seeing his visuals and you really just want to watch the movie for that, then I hope you had a fun time watching this film when it was released on Netflix. But if you want more of a story for the characters, you're not gonna get much, sadly, and if that's all you're gonna see in this film, you're gonna be disappointed. Now, I don't think this is an awful movie. I don't think Rebel Moon is one of the worst films I've seen this year. I've seen some films that are far worse than this film, but I still thought this film was sadly very bland and mediocre. Now, again, part 2 could change that. Part 2 could fix some of the issues that I had with this film, and that could end up being much better. But until that film comes out, I am giving this movie a C. So guys, if you have seen Rebel Moon, A Child of Fire, what did you think about it? Did you think it's one of Zack Snyder's best films, or do you think this is worse than some of his other films, like maybe worse than Sucker Punch? Let me know in the comments below. Also, stay tuned this month because sometime this week I am going to be posting my top 10 best movies of 2023 video. Look forward to that one. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.